Welcome to the Bison Information Network News. I'm Hannah Schlosser.
And I'm Casey McCarty. Super Bowl champion and founder of Gruden's QB Camp came to Fargo this past Friday to speak at the NDSU Coaches Clinic.
Let's hear from Gruden on what he thinks of the Bison offense and how he came to Fargo.
I didn't like the offense they ran here. I loved it. The way they huddle, the way they use their roster, the way they run the football, the way they play, and the effort that they play with. I was impressed so much that he got me this job here today as the lead speaker at the NDSU Football Clinic.
Student government elections were held last Wednesday and Thursday. These elections were not only for student body president and vice president, but also for student senate and executive board members. For the student body president and vice president, there was only one ticket, and that was Mason Wenzel and Katie Mastel. Even though there was only one ticket on the ballot, the candidates still needed at least 10 votes to win. They accomplished this by achieving 1,017 votes out of a total of 1,135 votes to take home the victory.
We have a lot of high hopes, and we really have some awesome goals that we've set for ourselves. What we really want to focus on is making sure we stick to our platform and get all those accomplished as soon as possible.
You know, I think it's just going to be a good year with getting things done. I think that Mason and I are going to pick, like he had mentioned, an administration that is ready to go, our executive board. We're ready to start that next week already, and we're going to be looking for people that are ready to get started on projects.
Student Senate next year will have 38 seats to fill, but currently only has 24 filled. This leaves next year's student government to fill these positions. And of the 24 seats filled currently, 7 of those were elected with less than 20 votes.
Almost a year ago, Spencer Moore and Anu Tiotia were sworn in as the student body president and vice president, respectively. Their successors, Mason Wenzel and Katie Mastel, will be sworn in on April 23rd. Bison Information Network news reporter Casey McCarty met up with Spencer and Anu to reflect on their year in office and on the future of NDSU.
I'm Casey McCarty, and I'm here with current student body president and vice president Spencer and Anu, here to talk about the rest of their term. How are you guys today?
Doing well. How are you?
I am doing pretty well. The first thing I want to dive into is I remember you guys telling me and my former counterpart last year that when you arrived here on campus, you both didn't really feel like you really fit in or mattered as much to the community here at NDSU. And I just want to know, do you feel like you've had an effect on that at all for the incoming freshmen this year, the class of 2020?
Definitely, I think so. Just the involvement we've had with especially multicultural students and first-generation students, just non-traditional students in general, we've been able to interact a lot with them. And I think those are a large population of students that often feel like they aren't engaged or they don't matter at NDSU. So I think our ability to be involved with them right from the beginning helped a lot.
What is one thing you definitely would have done differently as opposed to what you've done in the last year?
If I had to say if there was something that I could have done differently was get all the campaign platform points done right at the beginning of the term. And Spencer and I did a really good job of getting those done by the end of the fall semester, but just getting them done before even August started, just because over summer we couldn't do as many platform points as we thought we could, but just getting them done by the end of the summer so that we have fall to focus on. Fall was a really stressful and busy time for both of us, just the number of emails and just the number of meetings that we had to attend. So I would say if we had done our campaign platform points before the beginning of fall semester, we would have been way less stressed than we were.
I wish I would have been more prepared for like the daily duties of the office, like just emailing, checking in with execs and senators, all the just daily administrative duties, because they honestly kind of took me by surprise, and so it took a while to just get comfortable with them and then really break into the position.
What advice would you give to any incoming NDSU students, any future student government affiliates, whether that be senators, executives, Mason and Katie in the student body president and vice president roles?
Don't be scared to reach out. One thing that I learned very fast in my term was don't be afraid to reach out to faculty and staff. It's usually hard for other faculty and staff to arrange meetings, but if we email them and ask to meet with them, they will meet with us within the next 10 days. So it's just nice to see that it's not just the students who are willing to make a change on campus, it's our faculty and staff members as well. So definitely reach out and stay connected and encourage students to be involved on campus.
I would say understand that no one expects you to know everything or to know how to do everything. So kind of mirroring what Anu said, reaching out to people if you don't understand something or if you need help with something. I think a lot of times I struggle with looking for help just because I always just want to figure out on my own and do it myself. But I think if students reach out when they need help, to people much wiser and older with more experience than they do, then you can be a lot more successful.
And then lastly, is there anything else you guys want to add?
Go Bison.
All right. It's been a pleasure doing it.
Yes, Casey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yes.
Wenzel and Mastel's cabinet, as well as new student senators, will also be sworn in on April 23rd. Their cabinet is expected to be announced tomorrow.
Last Friday, First Lady of North Dakota, Kathryn Burgum, took place in a seminar featuring opioid abuse. The seminar focused on the real dangers associated with drug addiction, as well as how the state plans to combat this problem. The seminar featured a guest speaker as well as a film and panel for asking questions related to drug abuse. The film was made by the FBI and is called Chasing the Dragon, which features real-life stories of people struggling with addiction. Kathryn Burgum also laid out her plan for opening up another treatment facility for those recovering from addiction.
Coming up after the break, a look at changes coming to Fargo's largest mall.
That and more after this week's 7-day forecast.
Fargo has seen an increase in store closings over the last couple of months.
Nearly 11 stores have closed in West Acres Mall in the last year alone. Hannah went to the mall earlier today to get the story.
Acres currently has 9 vacant retail spaces, and the list only grows across town. But our region is not the only area dealing with bankruptcies and liquidation. These companies are closing some or all of their stores nationwide in order to cut losses.
On a national level, a lot of these retail chains have been struggling for a variety of reasons. Online definitely plays a part. Some of the most successful retailers and the ones that are doing well today have figured out how to really embrace that brick and mortar and online presence.
Heaton says store turnaround is common, but usually not in this capacity. To the public, the vacancies may seem like a bad sign, but this isn't necessarily so.
I mean, if you're a part of this industry and if you pay attention to what's going on nationally, I think you'll understand that it's just a change. It's a lot of change all at once, to be sure, but it's just a change, and we'll get through it and keep on going.
JCPenney is closing 138 of its stores. Gordman is closing nearly half of theirs, amongst others like Vanity and Wet Seal, who plan to liquidate completely.
It happens, and we work with it, and we work with the tenants, and we get through it.
Reporting for the Bison Information Network News, I'm Anna Schlosser.
There's been talk to fill many of the positions in the mall, though there have been no confirmations yet. North Dakota's Gordman's locations will also not be closing.
Waking up in the morning can be a grueling task, leaving many people to rely on their daily dose of caffeine to help them get through their morning. Bison Information News Network News reporter Heather Viker has the story.
83% of Americans drink coffee every day. Some studies show that caffeine has its own virtues, and others point out that caffeinated and decaf coffee are equally beneficial. So, is there a difference between decaf and regular, besides the caffeine?
Definitely flavor, for one thing. It has more of like kind of a buttery taste to it.
So clearly other components in the coffee bean besides caffeine are responsible for some of its healthy rating. After all, it contains more than 1,000 biologically active compounds.
Either one is fine, but I prefer the taste of not decaf. You know, because I like the different roasts of like caffeinated, like light, medium, or dark roast, I prefer the caffeinated.
The process of decaffeination involves unroasted coffee beans that are steamed. Then the beans are rinsed with a solvent that extracts the caffeine while leaving other components of the bean unaffected. This process is repeated 8 to 12 times until most of the caffeine is removed.
A lot of times the decaf tastes a lot more chemical, just because the process of removing the caffeine is a chemical process.
Some benefits of coffee in general lowers the risk for esophageal and colon cancer. When you drink black coffee, it reduces the risk of gallstones and cavities. A normal cup of coffee has about 75 to 200 milligrams of caffeine, whereas a cup of decaf only has about 2 to 12 milligrams. About 97% of caffeine is removed in order to make decaf coffee. This means that in every cup you have, even if it's decaf, you'll still get the brain booster that caffeine provides. Reporting for Bison Information Network News, I'm Heather Viker.
Studies show drinking caffeinated coffee can reduce the production of chemicals in the body that induce inflammation. Caffeine can also increase alertness and improve memory.
After the break, how students use cell phones to communicate.
And this week's Health Minute. We'll be right back.
Students on campus are typically seen with a specific device in their hands at nearly all times, and that's a cell phone.
This all-in-one device most of us use every day may hinder college students as much as it helps. Bison Information Network News reporter Zachary Vietz has the story.
According to a study conducted by Baylor University, male college students spend about 8 hours on their cell phone, while female college students spend upwards of 10 hours.
5 to 6 probably.
It's hard to say, off and on, probably a couple hours a day.
Some students don't have a problem with their device usage. They use it mainly for entertainment, reading blogs and information websites, as well as utilizing social media apps.
Mostly Reddit, I guess, or just some games to pass the time between classes and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a problem with a lot of social media these days. A lot of people are spending a lot more time on their phone than they probably should be.
However, this level of cell phone usage can amount to an addiction. They can be used as an escape mechanism while in class, a distraction, or a simple time waster.
I want to say like 3 to 4. It's kind of hard to tell because I kind of do it like whenever anything's in the background.
I think, yeah, I definitely spend more time than I probably should.
An article from Seattle Pi compiled academic sources who researched pros and cons of cellular usage. They concluded that while cell phone usage may lead to destructive behaviors, there are many positive outcomes as well.
Just kind of social media, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, that stuff. Probably a little bit too much, yeah.
Research does not leave out how phones can benefit the classroom. Many teachers use texting and other apps to remind students of assignments. It is even used to teach some literature. It is also noted that increased cell phone usage can result in decreased cognitive abilities. But on the plus side, it allows us to access a multitude of information. This is Zachary Vietz reporting for Bison Information Network News.
It seems college students have to think about the next time they use their cell phone. www.baylor.edu has more information.
After the break, Bin Sports reporter Eric joins us with the latest.
What can we expect, Eric?
We got Bison football adding a new opponent to their schedule, Bison football transfer, Fargo Force, women's rugby, former Bison player retired, and NDSU baseball. We'll be right back. Just 1 week ago, the North Dakota State Bison baseball team lost to the Minnesota Golden Gophers 7-1 in Minnesota. This past Tuesday, the Bison had a chance to get redemption and beat the Golden Gophers, this time in North Dakota. Pick it up right away in the first inning as Minnesota Toby Hansen hits an RBI double right up the middle. The Gophers were up 2-0 early on. Later on in the first inning, freshman pitcher Riley Johnson gets Micah Coffey to get out of strikes him out and gets him out of a jam. In the bottom of the first inning, Bennett Holstetler hits a little RBI, or hits a single, boop single over to the right field. Bison were still down 2-0. Later in the inning, they would score 2-1. Riley Johnson once again gets Matt Stemper to get out another jam in the second inning. In the top of the fourth inning, Blake Stockhart strikes out Tim Shannon. The Bison were still down 2-1. The Bison would go on to lose 6-1. Bennett Holstetler was 3 for 4 and he scored their lone run. Bison are now 14-18. Tim Shannon picks up the win for the Gophers. Bison fall to 14-18 overall. Gophers win their 11th straight. The Bison will be taking on Fort Wayne this Friday night. First pitch is at 6:30. The North Dakota State football team just announced an FBS opponent for the schedule in 2022 season. The Bison will be playing the Wildcats of Arizona in 2022. This is the first ever meeting between these two schools, and it marks the third Pac-12 opponent that the Bison will be playing against. They will be taking on Oregon in 2020 and Colorado in 2024. The North Dakota State wide receiving core just got a big boost this past week. The Bison picked up Desmond Kane, a transfer out of Illinois. Kane was second in the team in receptions at 52 and 493 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. He's able to play for 2 more years. Former North Dakota State standout Ben Woodside has decided to call it a career after playing 8 seasons overseas in Europe. He is the Bison's all-time leading scorer with 2,315 points, ranked second in all-time scoring points per game with 19.6 per game, and second in field goals made with 700. Woodside will be forever remembered for the shot that sent the Bison to the first NCAA tournament. Let's hear from Woodside on why he decided to call it a career.
Honestly, I was sick of being away from my family. I spent 2 years living apart from my wife, and over time that starts to eat at you. Obviously, I would love to keep playing. I definitely still can keep.
The Fargo Force are officially the number 3 seed in the United States Hockey League Western Conference playoffs. The Force will be taking on the number 2 seed, the Blackhawks of Waterloo. These teams just met this past weekend with each team taking a game. The Blackhawks won on Friday night 6-2, and the Force won on Saturday 4-3.
They're a fast team. They love to attack off the rush, and we got to be ready for that. They got a lot of offensive scoring power, and I believe, though, with what we've worked on this week, that we'll be ready for that.
Really fast, a really good transition offensive hockey team. They really move the puck quick. They're good set up forward. Their goalie, we know Robbie pretty well from last year. They're a really good team in it. They're good goalies. So they're well coached. They're physical. They hit. They skate fast. We really got to be on our A game.
Yeah, I mean, they got a great team. First of all, they're the highest scoring line in the league for a reason. We've got to play good defensive hockey. Got to take care of the puck when we have it, and then transition off the offense. So they got a lot of guys you got to worry about shutting down.
The Force will travel to Waterloo for the first 2 games this upcoming weekend and will then return home on Tuesday, April 18th for Game 3. If necessary, the Force will play Wednesday the 19th at home and Saturday the 22nd for Game 5 in Waterloo. The North Dakota State men's and women's rugby team hosted their home tournament this past Saturday. Teams from Minnesota State University Moorhead, the University of Minnesota Duluth, the University of North Dakota, and St. Cloud participated in the tournament. The Bison women may not have come out on top, but they did take home 2nd place. They lost to the Dragons in a close contest.
Well, we had a really big issue of communicating on the field. I think we've really improved on that. Overall, they did an amazing job. Last weekend, they had a great tournament in Nebraska, and they've improved so much this weekend.
Well, there's always room to get better, of course. And so probably one of our biggest things is being able to shift down the field left and right.
I think last weekend went well too. I think we're in a good streak that we can play well at All Saints.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people out here worked hard to get all this set up and put together. And it was a really great turnout, honestly, from all the teams. And the weather cleared up for us, so that was nice.
And now we're going to take a little break, but after that, we're going to take a look at a super cute story.
We'll be right back.
Young patients at a children's hospital were thrilled to see some of their favorite superheroes
cleaning the windows. Superman, Spider-Man, Captain America, along with Darth Vader and Chewbacca, were all helping out Monday at Randall's Children's Hospital in Portland, Oregon. Some of the children dressed up in superhero costumes too. The manager of the window washing company says it's all about giving back and spreading cheer to the children.
They absolutely forget everything that's going on. They forget their pain, anything that's going on with them. Their faces are lit up, and they just love it.
The manager says he was inspired to start having his workers dress up as superheroes after his own son's stay at the Children's Hospital.
And so, Eric, are you going to be watching the NHL playoffs at all in the next couple weeks?
I will be watching them, but I'll actually be watching the NBA playoffs as the Milwaukee Bucks, where I'm from in Wisconsin, have made the NBA playoffs for the first time in 4 years.
All right, and thank you for watching this edition of Bison Information Network News.
Be sure to check us out on our Facebook page. Have a great night.